All right, everybody, welcome to the On the Block podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Yalo. I'm joined here today by some of my favorite people in the Big Brother Minecraft community. To my right here, we have the evictee from this latest episode of Big Brother Minecraft, TJ Doggy Style. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I guess.
Let's see. We have sitting next to TJ, we have Jake.
Woo! Nominee number 1.
We also have Hannah. Welcome back, Hannah, to the podcast. She was on episode 2. Welcome back.
Is that Hannah from season 6 and 7?
Yeah,
Please, no photos, please.
Hannah
no
was
photos.
on season 6 and 7. You may remember her. She's also going to be coming back next week to host the Veto comp, which is awesome. Over to the other side of the table, if you're watching this on the YouTube platform, we got Maxim. And
Good morning.
We have Ivy.
Oh, hello.
And from production, we have Smooth Mister.
What's up? I'm a regular at this point.
Yeah. All right, everybody. So, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? We have a lot to unpack here today. A lot just happened in this most recent episode. TJ, I want to start with you. We all just rewatched this episode together. It was our first time seeing it. TJ,
Right.
Your first time watching this episode. What was your initial reaction to seeing how you went out?
I think some of the realities of what was going on in the house, there was a few things that I guess were brought to my attention, what other people were thinking about me or other things surrounding my game that had an influence on me ultimately being evicted. So that was pretty enlightening, but I don't think any of it was too surprising. And it's just an example that you never know how this game is going to turn out. You know what I mean? With 13 of us playing 13 different games, anything can happen.
Very true.
So not surprised.
And did you kind of was there a lot of was anything shocking to you that came about with this episode? Like, is there anything that you found out for the first time that you were like, oh, I didn't know that happened?
I think the idea that during my time in the house, I was under the impression that it was a lot of just kind of peer pressure being put on Ivy. But the reality is, I think most people probably felt the same way about me, just as how I was conducting myself, maybe how being too outgoing was a bit of a bad thing. So it also brought to my attention how little footing I actually had in the game, like I was hoping that I would when I was playing. Ultimately, there wasn't that many people that trusted me or felt like they could actually work with me, which is a clear reason as to why I would have been evicted.
And I do want to say, TJ, your reception from the viewers has been very positive. Coming, through these episodes coming out recently. Were you expecting that?
No, absolutely not. And to be fair, I must have blacked out during the season because I do not remember half of the craziness that I was even saying in the diary rooms. That type of braggadocio that I was displaying probably doesn't get the best reception. But I look at it like this: like that's a character, and that's somebody who's definitely standing out amongst the rest of the cast. Not that they aren't doing anything in that regard, but I think if I'm able to be memorable and actually be a villain that people can get into, then that's pretty cool to see in retrospect.
Sounds great, man. I totally agree with that for sure. Let's see. So we start off this episode 4. We're coming off of Ivy's head of household win. She just nominated Ray and Jake for eviction, but she also tried to nominate you, but you used your bounty card. So now you're going into this week, TJ. Your bounty card's gone. There's a lot kind of up in the air right now. So, Jake, I want to go to you. What was your initial reaction to getting nominated? Because I'm sure you didn't really expect that.
Right, so I was clawing at Ivy's HOH drawer for a while. And when it didn't open up, I was like, okay, I'm being nominated. And then when that actually happened, I had 2 thoughts. Firstly, I was like, yes, finally, I get content. So that was my first thought. And then secondly, I was thinking, how can I work around this? And the first thing I said, which was so cringy looking back at it, but the snake bites. I wanted to put in the seed already of
crazy.
I know it was that was a moment, but no, I wanted to play up the fact that Jake doesn't like Ivy, and that's something that you see later in the episode, but we'll get there. But those were my original thoughts. I wasn't surprised. I was like, how can I use this?
Yeah, and Ivy, when Jake made that comment towards you at the nomination ceremony, you seemed to have a little bit of a reaction.
I was like, this bitch, shut up.
Love you too, Ivy.
I wanted to use a different word, but no.
Well, now that you're on the podcast, why don't you say
not
it?
on the podcast. What? Oh, I don't think I can say it on here.
We have a rating.
Yeah, when it's the snake bites, I'm like, this little
Yeah.
bitch. Yeah. Okay, whatever.
T-shirt
To
on
brush that
Amazon.
off.
Gotcha.
Gonna
So
brush that off.
so now we're going into picking players for Veto. The Veto competition's rolling around, and we hear a diary room about Jake talking about how he wants to form this gays girls and gays alliance, right?
Gays.
Number 3.
Yeah.
So original.
Which is like the
Wow.
third, which is like the third
Trailblazer.
time. This is like the third time in the season already that someone's pitched that idea. So does anybody have sort of a comment about like why this is why this is so popular in this season? Why there's so many different alliances of the same concept being formed?
Well, it's because there's like more variety this season. There's more people that fit underneath the girls and the gays category. So if anyone sees the option to do it, they're just gonna do it.
Yeah,
That's
I
why.
totally agree. I mean, look at the demographics this season. We went from 7 seasons of like pasty white men to boom, half of the cast is like girls, gays, POCs. Like there was a huge shift, and obviously a lot of people took notice of that.
All right, yeah, I definitely agree with that, and it's something that we definitely took a lot of account into. I'm sure Hannah and Smooth and their own casting definitely had a lot to do with that.
Yep.
Hey.
Let's see. So I wanted to also point out, Ivy, in your little DR right after the nomination ceremony, you said you were really disappointed that TJ uses bounty card, and you said no one likes TJ. Very bold sentence.
I think my dog did that. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I bet.
But when you're in the confessional, you feel like you can just like say whatever. And at that moment, that's just kind of what it felt like. No one liked TJ, and I was just speaking my mind on that.
Gotcha. And so, in your mind, Ivy, did you ever, in that moment, do you remember even having a feeling like you needed to win this veto to renominate TJ, or was that not even part of the plan?
No,
at that point?
I thought like TJ was gonna be safe for the full week, so I was just like, well, shit. Now I gotta send one of these other 2 people home.
Yeah.
So I was like, it would be good to win the veto, but you don't want to win too many comps at the beginning.
Yes,
Luckily,
yeah.
it was a different type of comp.
Yeah, and the
So.
comp was a whole lot of chips. It's a fan favorite competition, one of my favorites to edit and put together because there's a lot of different strategies going on. Everyone's playing an individual game as far as the challenge goes, and you have Ivy, Jake, Ray, Brad, Maxim, and Brian playing in this veto competition. So you see everyone going one at a time. Ivy goes first, then Jake goes, and then since they were the first 2 to go, they go back into Ivy's HOH room and they start forming an alliance, making deals. Jake pitches an idea to do a fake fight.
Really creative idea.
Horrible.
Oh, that's too.
Yeah,
That's
that was pretty bad.
Like it was such a good idea, but like, it was kind of one-sided. He was saying all this stuff, and I was like, okay.
And so, Jake, what made you want to do a fake fight? Like, was that really necessary? Do you feel like for your strategy moving forward in this game, like in order for you to stay that week, do you think it was absolutely necessary that you and Ivy needed to have a fake fight?
100% unnecessary, 200% entertaining, and I wanted to have a good time. And I wanted to make the most of it. Sure, I can sit on the block, try at the veto, but there's other ways to play the game. Obviously, the girls and the gays alliance, but then also I was like, okay, I'm obviously in this position, and if I want to, take the opportunity to make an alliance with Ivy, now would be a good time. And one way to cover that hatchet is to stage a fake fight, which we sure tried, but yeah, why
I
not?
think you
Why
tried,
not
and I was
just
like,
throw a
okay.
Yeah, it didn't really.
And then
look
I
too
tried,
good, yeah.
and Ivy was there. But yeah, why not throw things at the wall?
Can I add something?
Yeah.
From the outside looking in, that fight, I'm not gonna lie, was very cringy, and I felt very.
No, we know.
Yeah.
I felt embarrassed for you guys, and I just wanted to know what Maxim's reaction was because
Oh,
you were
yeah.
the
Yeah,
last
Maxim
one to
was
walk
there.
in
Sorry.
with all that.
But
Did you think it was real? Did you think it was fake? What?
I'm sorry, burying a fake hatchet in front of 2 people, there's no dirt to bury with. You're talking in front of Ray, which is one of the quietest people on the cast. And then me, and bitch, I swear to God, I wasn't on anything, but I was dozed and confused. I don't remember it. It was very much so a minor inconvenience that I walked in on, and I kind of just sat through, and I was like, oh, work. Right? Okay.
You were very much so giving kid sitting in the backseat of his car while his parents argue over which way they were supposed to turn.
Oh, very much so. Except I was on a fucking iPad in my own little world. Like
He's
it
playing
was.
Coco Melon through the
Oh,
headphones.
yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Yeah, it was giving much that, especially when you're reading the rules of the veto competition.
Oh Lord.
Let's talk about that, please.
Yeah, for real. So Maxim, like, what was going on there?
You know, I'm not dyslexic. However,
Oh,
I
really?
do struggle to read. I shut it. Oh my god. Sometimes I get very like, especially on this season, I was very excited to compete.
Oh yeah.
So I was just like, I was so excited. It was my first veto of the season, I think. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I get to compete in an extra little challenge and maybe possibly like win something. So I was just like, I was so ready to just get into it, especially being it is a fan favorite challenge. And
Yeah.
I am very much so a longtime fan. I was just ready to compete and have a good time. And then I tried to do math and I don't really know what I was thinking, but all I do know is in my little phone notes, I was writing like an algorithm and I was like, okay, if 2 + 2 is 4, 5 + 5 is 10, I need to give myself 7 because it's a lucky number.
Yeah. So did any of you, so the three of you here sitting at this table that you played in the
Yeah.
challenge, did any of you really have a strategy going into it? Like you've seen it probably before in the Real Big Brother. On my show, we did it in season 7. Hannah played in it. Did any of you guys really have a strategy or prepare for this type of challenge?
I definitely did not prepare, but I was just like, let me give myself some. That was all I was really thinking.
Yeah, like you said, this is a fan favorite challenge. We've seen it on the show. We've seen it in your show. With that being said, absolutely no forethought. I was just in the episode you see, I'm like, you get one and you get one. I did not want to do the math on that one. I'm not a big fan of math, and you could see that.
So sorry, you go.
I was gonna say that this competition definitely has a history of people being nominated, actually doing pretty well in this competition. Not only did Joey win it last season, who mind you was nominated and the target, but in Real Big Brother as well, we've seen people be nominated and actually come out on top. It's basically like a game of faking yourself out. And I was kind of struggling watching some of the even splitting that a few of our people were doing, especially from Jake and Ray. And I was like, you guys have to guarantee somebody doesn't win. And I think that if one or two people had actually focused their efforts on Ivy, then who knows, they could have very well won the veto for themselves because it would have guaranteed an elimination. And then I wouldn't have been backdoor and evicted, but whatever. But right.
Yeah, I want to flip the token. So let's say week 1 doesn't go your way, TJ, and let's say Madison gets evicted and you don't have your bounty card and Ivy nominates you regardless. You're going to be in this competition. What would have been your strategy? Well, how would you approach this challenge?
I think I would have actually felt pretty confident if I was nominated, knowing that I was a target, because like I said, I would have had that ideal advantage behind my back. I would have probably spread a few onto me, no more than like 4 or 5 chips. And I either would have flooded the rest onto the HOH Ivy or one of the nominees, whoever was next to me, to guarantee that they go home. Best case scenario, I win it. Worst case scenario would be the HOH winning it and things stay the same. I got to change the situation somehow, would be my thought.
So I want to ask you, TJ, because this has been a burning question for me after editing the season and just knowing the outcome of this entire season.
Sure.
Do you think that the bounty card twist ultimately helped you, or do you think it hindered your game and ultimately led you to go home this week?
I think when I was thinking about it, using that bounty card week 2, I questioned whether or not I effectively backdoored myself because it pretty much took myself out of the competition, to be able to play for my own safety. But honestly, I don't think it would have made much of a difference for my sake. I feel like maybe I would have had a better chance being a nominee from the jump and having a better, more of a chance to campaign. But I think the BB bounty card was something that, I don't regret what I did with the card, especially with how other people may use this card in the future, I think.
Gotcha. So the outcome is Ivy wins it. Full power week. Second time this season we have a full power week. What was the initial reactions around the house when this happened?
Oh, I was horrified. I was like, I'm going right back up. Yeah. Nothing is about to change. I'm a dead man. It was not looking good for me whatsoever.
Yeah.
Oh.
I will say, from what I did not really want to make, early in the season, you don't really want to put yourself out there too much. So I was actually like really like maybe I shouldn't use it, but Liz kind of came up there and was like, no, you definitely should. I was like, okay, I believe my diva. I believe my sister.
Yeah. And did you expect to win it? Did you want to win it, Ivy?
No, I did not expect to win it. When I saw everybody else's scores, like when I was the last one, I was like, oh shit, am I gonna win this? But since it's kind of like a luck comp in a way, I didn't really feel like I'm giving off any threatening vibes.
Yeah,
because
it really is just like it's not really any
nothing,
physical strength in this challenge. It's really just
or strategic or any. It's just give these coins out to people.
Yeah.
So like I wasn't upset. I was just like I was happy I got full power. I just wasn't really sure what I was gonna do.
So Ivy, when you win this, you go to the HOH room. Liz immediately starts, grilling you about what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So Liz is your number one ally, and you trust her, and she's asking you, what about putting TJ back up on the block? Were you fully on board with this when this first was pitched to you?
No, because I had like a conversation with TJ that was well, not at first. So I had a conversation with TJ where we were like, if I potentially keep you safe this week, would you be willing to keep me safe in the future or something like that? And it sounded like TJ was being sincere, so I was like, maybe I should keep TJ safe. But, as Liz was talking to me, she's like, well, you could say like this one person does not really deserve to be on the block, so just renom TJ. I'm like, she's like making good points. But she kind of swayed me.
My question would be good points for who? For you or for her? Because obviously she was targeting me.
Since she's my ally, I'm gonna believe her. She's my final two. So I'm gonna believe what good words she has to say and roll with it.
Okay.
And we weren't really like working together like too well either. Oh, either. We weren't like working together that close either. So,
yeah.
It wasn't like me totally flipping on like a big ally because of Liz.
Kind of to jump in here, though, a point that TJ brought up, which I think is interesting, and not to get too far ahead, but Ivy, ultimately, you do take me down, who is your target, and then put up Ivy's target, or not Ivy's target, Liz's target. And I think something I do want to highlight is just in the game at this point, I didn't realize how much of like a social maneuver that like what Liz is doing. And I think it's interesting that she was able to use your HOH to get out her target.
Yeah, she got me. She really did.
But I don't think it was a manipulation or anything like that. Give credit to Liv where it's due. Like, she really approached Ivy as a friend, as somebody who was giving good advice. And at the end of the day, like, it was good for her game, but she was able to convince Ivy that it was a good idea for her. And honestly, like, who's to say it wasn't? Like, I can't
I don't think
really.
It was bad at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I really do think that as soon as Ivy won the HOH, the women were up and they were winning the week no matter what, and it was a dub for them from the get-go. I do think
it was a win for women.
Yeah, it was a W for the women. Yeah, exactly. And I do think
did it, Joe. We did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that regardless of who went home that week or who was nominated, it was really going to come down to Ivy and Liz. They were in control of that week, and I really
were the main characters.
They set themselves up for victory that week. So it really was just who was going to take the bullet, and unfortunately it was TJ.
Yeah.
But aside from all the Ivy Liz versus TJ drama and versus Jake drama, we have the other side of the house is sort of scrambling at the moment. We have Aiden kind of on his own, trying to lay low, and we have Popoli and Beans that are trying to figure out what the hell happened with the vote last week, because Madison escaped the vote by 1 vote, and there was some information that got leaked right before the veto meeting, and everyone's trying to figure out what happened because Aiden was very cryptic about what this information was that he heard and who told him this information. So Popoli's really grilling into Aiden, trying to figure it out. And then it dawns on him when Aiden tells him, yeah, there was a rat in your group that, someone said that you and Beans were trying to make an all-girls alliance to get me out. So Popoli really is in hot water here. And I wanted to hear your guys' reactions to that at this point, because it really is important to the story in the show at this point too.
Well, who's first?
Smooth. What about you?
Huh? Oh, my reaction?
Yeah, welcome back. I didn't mean to interrupt your nap.
Welcome back. So, my reaction with that is like, okay, Pepoli has been playing a lot of cards. Like he told everyone that TJ was his target, and now he's playing this sort of game where he's trying to make this all-female alliance with him included. Now,
Papoli's Angels.
yes, and now this is big because now that he told people that TJ was his target, what are people going to do with that information? Now, are they going to put him straight up and make him use his quote-unquote bounty card that he does not have? Or are they going to be like, all right, let's back off because Papoli has his bounty card? Or, Jake, at this point in the game, did you know that he was throwing out TJ as his target or not?
Absolutely not. At this point, I
Okay.
barely talked to Pepoli.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's just a lot of things are going on in Papoli's game right now, which is like I think like highlighting him in the episode at this point is really important because he's playing a really different strategical game than a lot of other people. He's thinking like 5 weeks ahead at this point. He's faking TJ as his target, but he's also got himself mixed up with this huge drama with Madison. This unknown assailant is ratting out his plans to other people in the house, and Papoli doesn't know that it was Madison because when you're playing the game, it's kind of hard to figure out who's in the room and who's listening at all times. So Papoli's really paranoid in the game now, and they're not sure who it is. And unfortunately for TJ, Beans threw your name out and said it could have been you.
Fuck are you talking about? I'm like, I guess me and Beans must have been best friends up until this point. Like, she clearly doesn't know where the fuck she's at. I'm like, I have nothing to do with any of this. Like, you're just hating on at this point. Like, yeah, that did not do me any favors when it came to campaigning whatsoever. And oh my god, I was like, when the fuck? Like, you're just like convincing yourself that this shit is true at this point.
Yeah,
So,
you just got
That happening.
yeah.
That happening during the episode, it gives such like a false perception because you're like, oh, no, TJ still has a chance. TJ can find his way out of it, and then Bean says that, and you're like,
because it's not even just one party that's against TJ. It's like the entire house is all like collectively all at once on their own turning on TJ when TJ really hasn't done much other than like maybe piss off Maxim, like being Liz's target or potentially being the one that ratted out Papoli's scheme. So
that's how the Big Brother house. That's how the Big Brother house go. Oh, don't even get me started.
Oh yeah, and then the whole Brad, then the whole Brad drama.
I'm sure we'll get into that, but it just like one small. You never know what you say or what you do, how it's gonna like blow up in the house. So small things can become very, very big things, and like the fact that it was 4 or 5 things all at once that did me in. Like, yeah, that didn't help whatsoever. So. It's just funny to see it play out, honestly.
Yeah, and what's part of the edit that I really failed on editing, and I'm not sure why this wasn't included in the episode. I'm pretty sure it was because of time, because obviously the Heather vote off was just such a crazy episode, and I wasn't able to include everything.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we missed out on was TJ going around the house, going from room to room, and telling people to vote out Brad when Brad was still on the block, and that sort of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Not everybody, but a certain few people that were kind of important figures in this week. Obviously, Liz being one of them. So, TJ, did you ever think that was going to come back to you and bite you in the ass?
No. So, 2 things about that. First off, like, other people will see it as me actively campaigning for him. Me, it was more or less just stating the obvious. Between Brad and Madison, I know a lot of the cast loves Brad, but as far as like the game was concerned, he wasn't going to serve anybody any purpose. So I don't recall it me necessarily campaigning to get him out, more so stating the obvious. Like, there's no way he's going to stay, right?
Yeah.
To the groups that I talked to. But the other thing is that when you consider that Maxim and Brian and Heather and a few other players were pretty much actively campaigning to keep Madison before the veto was used, which means Brad goes home in that situation, obviously. That you can see how like that's a pick and choose scenario, or it was just like kind of ridiculous to me. It's like, oh, so I'm like the bad guy here. Like, are we not voting to evict here? Are we not campaigning to get people out? What's the point? You know? So that kind of. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was good. Yeah, you can keep going.
But yeah, that kind of like I felt like it was a bit of like hypocrisy there. Or, yeah.
I wanted to ask everybody sitting here, like, were all of you guys gonna vote out Brad week 1? Was that?
Oh god, yeah.
That was the.
Oh god, yeah.
So.
God.
So
Probably, yeah.
Not to really go back in time, but like, what was going on with Aiden? Like, what was all that about? Because if you guys were all gonna vote out Brad, then why paint the target on TJ for being so adamant about voting out Brad?
That basically
More
it
vocal
came.
about anyone else.
If I may really quick, because while Ivy did ultimately go up against me, I was perplexed that Aiden managed to duck the dodge the block. So in I think when he first won HOH, one of the things that Aiden was doing was he was talking one-on-one with a handful of people. A few people in the comments accused him of overplaying his hand and he was doing too much. One of the conversations that he had was with Ivy, and Ivy ended up winning HOH.
Yeah.
And when everybody was pissed off at him, Ivy ended up giving him a chance. So in a way, like I kind of commend Ivy for not going for the most obvious decision, right? And she kind of had a bit of she was somewhat strategically savvy in that situation to keep Aiden around because it's the most obvious move. Everybody wants him out. So like, why go ahead and do that? Now, is it going to play out for her? Time will tell. Because Aiden is a very unpredictable figure, a bit of a loose cannon. But I don't think I think it came down to like just the right person winning the right comp.
I agree. I think that we have a lot of different people playing many different games. Aiden's playing one of the most out and open obvious games, very loose cannon. I agree. Then you have somebody like Ray. People don't even know his name. Ivy didn't even know his name. Ivy was nominating him.
Yeah.
Max, during the episode, you didn't even know who he was. Didn't even know that he was nominated. So I want to hear your guys' like takes on Ray and like why was he such an under the radar player to the point where you didn't even know his name?
He was just like quiet. That's all it was. He just wasn't talking to anyone. I mean, he was talking, but like barely.
I feel like it was unfortunate because I feel like one of the closest people he like got to know was Heather, and it was first boot. So it's like it was rough for him because I feel like based off what I've seen from playing in the game and watching the episodes as they come out, was Ray and Heather were like a duo in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ray just kind of like didn't like spread out with enough people on the cast at this point.
Yeah.
And it sucks because I mean, after this season, like, come on, Ray is one of my favorite people.
Yeah.
But like, oh my God. It was just
Ivy,
it was rough.
it sounded like Ivy had something to say to that.
No, I have nothing to say to it. I just
No, I will agree. I do feel bad, and of course you're gonna hear Ray talk about this a lot more in the future episodes. But his microphone, he got really screwed over because he bought a microphone just for the show. Didn't work out, and he was stuck. He was also very sick during the show. He didn't, he wasn't in the, his health wasn't really too well.
He's dying.
We talked a lot about other people's health in here. Where we talked about a little bit too personal things. We talked about some UTIs. Anybody want to touch up on what was going on with everyone having a UTI? Especially some people here at this very table.
Hey, no need. That was shady. No, I was just very like I was very what's the word? I can't think of it. Moved by Maddie's story about a UTI. And being up in that New York trip, like me and her, like we do what girls do, and I think I took home an extra souvenir of Maddie's UTI.
Wow.
Okay, now I really
Andrew, why are you nodding so hard to that?
Oh, that's actually not me. That's somebody else that's pretending to be me while I film this podcast. I wonder who they are.
You just really resonated with that story.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little comedic relief moment in the episode where we go back and we flash back to the first week where Madison was talking about having a UTI. And I don't really know. I think I just added it in the episode because there's certain things that happen during the season that like may not matter to the story, but like they are jokes that happen during the season that like are also talked about way after that I feel like, or just running jokes that came from this season. So I feel like I'd be doing the cast a disservice if I didn't include them. So that being one of them. But coming out of that conversation with Madison's UTI story, Jake walks away from the conversation. We reveal that like, oh, Madison, Maxim, and Brian, they have a final three brewing, which is interesting. So Maxim, why don't you touch up on that?
Basically, it wasn't shown in the first week, but right after I told Madison that she was the person who I had as a target, Brian walked his way into the bathroom and was like, oh, can I come in here? And we were like, oh, of course. And then that's where the final three really formed. And sadly, it wasn't shown. But like, I think it was just like something about the three of us, we just really like blended so well, and we really just like enjoyed the presence of each other, and we all really wanted to get to know each other so much more. So we were like, okay, here's who we're gonna be with for the long haul. Let's make it count. Let's enjoy the time together and live it up.
Yeah. And there's a conversation later in the episode where you and Madison talk with Ivy in the HOH room, and it's just like you guys are basically attached at the hip. And were you kind of worried that people would catch on about you guys being like a duo? Was that a worry of yours?
I think that I had to let go of that worry very fast because, as seen in the first week, Ray went and tattled on me and Madison talking alone. Because I will say it was definitely an interesting choice for me to kick out Brad and Ray. Then again, I didn't remember Ray's name, so what was I going to talk to him about?
Exactly.
But basically, I think at that point, I already knew that people knew that I was close with her, being that I had as TJ said, like I campaigned for her to stay prior to the veto. So I think it was just like, it was nothing worth me hiding. And I will say, in hindsight, I do wish that we like split off a lot more and like gained allies for ourselves a lot faster. But like, it's yet to bite us in the ass, so I don't really see a problem with how I played yet.
Gotcha.
Listen, I am all for the duo strategy. Once you find that one person that you can like 100% trust, like don't lose that. Like don't try and like hide it. Like you can try and play dumb and like think like the duo is not going to get noticed, but everybody knows. And like you just have to own it and like say like, yeah, no, this person has my back. Like,
oh God, yeah.
It's just kind of odd. Wait, Smith, you go ahead.
Oh no, it's just like you see that season after season. Like specifically Hannah, did you have a specific duo in each of your seasons?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Everybody knew I was working with Harrison in season 6, and then Joey was like my number one ally in season 7. Like he was my go-to. Like every conversation, I would go back and I'd be like, Joey, you're not gonna believe the dumbest thing Corky just told me. And like just having that person, because like you really form like a really close connection with them and stuff. Like Joey wasn't just like an ally. I felt like that's when me and Joey got super, super close, and I feel like we are pretty close now after the season as well. And yeah, I'm all for the duos.
I just find it really interesting how Maxim and Madison kind of gravitated towards each other due to the twist, because Maxim's target is Madison. Now, do you believe that you both would have been a duo together at this point in the game if you weren't targeting her based on the twist?
Honestly, I feel like we would still be allies, but I think I probably would have gravitated towards Brian, which is why I like had invited him into the final 3.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, not gonna lie, I forced Madison into that friendship. I was like, I have you as a bounty. If you go against me, I'll vote you out and get a power from it. So you might want to work with me.
Nice.
So endearing.
Oh God, yeah.
Very
So
much
kind.
so.
That's what friends are for.
Of course.
Yeah, hostage situations.
Yes.
Let's see. So Maxim had Madison as a duo in this part of the game. Ivy had Liz. Jake, did you really have anybody as your duo, your partner?
I wanted it to be TJ so bad, just because we had like matching outfits. I was like, that's gonna be so cute.
White shirt duo.
I can't say I necessarily shared that same sentiment. I felt like, and it isn't because Jake. I mean, if it wasn't for the shirts, I'd be gung ho for it. But I remember that first week, everybody being like I said in my DR, oh wow, you two got matching shirts. Oh wow, isn't that cool? And I'm like, this is gonna bite me in the ass later on, isn't it? Week 5, I'm gonna get nominated in Jake, side by side with Jake because of our fucking Minecraft.
Week 5 is a little bit ambitious, TJ, but
you know it, yeah. But you get the idea. Like I felt like it was gonna bite me in the rear. But like as far as like personality wise and just I guess game sense goes, like I guess you could say Jake was as close to an ally as I got in this game.
I was a leg lamp to him. He did not care about me. We had 2 conversations. I
did. I promise you, I did.
That interaction was giving. You're like my best friend. Aw, I'm your best friend. Or wait, shit, I don't remember how it goes. I'm definitely your best friend, like that.
No,
audio.
I'm sorry.
It was really funny the way you messed up that audio clip.
Oh,
my god.
It's okay.
Oh,
Hannah is trying. She's had a rough day today. Okay, guys. She's had a really
I
rough
keep
day.
pissing. I can't stop.
Yeah.
Go piss, girl. Go piss, girl.
But yeah, there's a lot of antics going on in the house at this point, but we come to the veto meeting, and to everyone's surprise, Ivy uses the veto on Jake and puts up TJ as the replacement nominee. So now is when the real scrambling begins, because now nominations are locked, and TJ and Ray, up for eviction, they are going to town campaigning. TJ, you approach BMO, Jake, Brian, I believe, in a room together. You just started approaching a bunch of different people. When your approach was very endearing, I'm pretty sure that a lot of them, you probably were swaying votes in your favor. I'm sure people wanted to keep you for sure. But what do you think people wanted to keep Ray over you?
I firmly believe that everything that I was doing up until me getting nominated is what came to bite me in the ass. I'm not a big fan of campaigning. I always felt like if you feel like you have to go campaign, then it's probably not looking good for you. But ultimately, from what I gather from the episode and other people, Ray just wasn't nearly going to be as big of a threat as I would have been had I stayed in the house. And I can't say I fault them for that logic either. Obviously, Liz had her motivations, but everybody else, I think it came down to like I was going to be a problem for some of them moving forward, and Ray wasn't.
And you definitely weren't going to get Liz's vote to stay because she was targeting you based on the twist. Mm-hmm. But you had other people wavering, such as Madison. Which seeing that for the first time, was that kind of surprising for you?
I mean, I'm flattered and all, but it was kind of just circumstantial. If it wasn't for the fact that the BB bounty was on Ray, I believe she wouldn't have given two shits about me. So like, and I don't think we were nearly as close or had any conversations for me to think that she would be voting to keep me. So I was not counting on her vote whatsoever. No offense.
Gotcha. We also go to a conversation right after we see you campaigning, and it's Maxim, Madison, Ivy in the head of household room, and Maxim's talking shit about you, TJ. I'm sure probably seeing that is not
me.
Yeah,
I would never.
I'm sure if Maxim were nominated and I was in the HOH room with those two, I'd probably be saying shit about him as well.
Ooh.
So it's what people do. Real life game show doesn't matter.
Of course. Also, Maxim makes a comment that Maxim. Maxim, I'm not sure word for word verbatim, but Maxim kind of alludes to the fact that Maxim does not like straight men. And basically is just terrified of them, scared of them, doesn't want to work with them.
Don't go putting words in my mouth. I said that straight men scare me.
Exactly.
Listen, is on my camera. That is no longer true. Listen, I am fond of many straight men.
Yeah.
However, I will say it's just like in a house where it's like 50% strategy and like social game.
Yeah.
I find it, I don't know fucking sports. What am I gonna talk to them about? Like, I know hockey. God. That's good. Like, bitch, I like it when the hockey people fight each other. Like,
that's the best part of hockey.
There's nothing that I would have been able to like bond over.
Maxim, that's where you're unfortunately wrong, because if you and I actually had a one-on-one, you would have known that I happen to be a big fan of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, wow.
Damn, we are learning.
Wait, what's your favorite queen?
We are learning a lot on this podcast.
And I'll say this much, like, I remember trying my absolute best to get into a one-on-one with Maxim, not just for game reasons, but also because like he's someone who I felt like I needed to speak to, and I just couldn't get that one-on-one. So, and that's the what is that we learn about judging a book by its cover? Like you sit and talk with somebody, you never know. No. Yeah, exactly. That you don't. Like you talk. You talk with people, we all have our surface level impressions, but like you get to know people and learn things about them. Like you never know. So hell, if you never know how things are going to play out. But
So who's your favorite queen?
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's ask the real questions.
Oh, you know what? So my favorite season is the one that Sharon Needles won, and actually, I know some people that I know some people may not like Sharon Needles. Okay, but my favorite's probably gonna be Latrice out of everything.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh girl,
I like Latrice.
You had us worried in the first half.
Hold on. I know. Yeah. Hold on.
Okay.
Had to get the soundboard out.
Yeah, there you
The
go.
big black laugh. Yes.
Oh god,
Yeah.
Josh.
I
love her.
wanted to ask you, TJ, because Maxim's part of the Minecraft Drag Race community as well. Could we expect to see you compete in a Minecraft Drag Race in the future, TJ?
If you do, it is going to be a last place cameo role. I'm going to have a totally trashy ass, ridiculous outfit, cause petty, nonsensical bullshit fights, and exit with grace, and then lip sync to I don't know, Eminem or some cringe.
Oh word.
All right, well, Maxim,
I
you
look
heard
forward
it
to
there.
that
That's
season.
there's some potential right there with TJ, so
There you
you
go.
never know. Maybe we'll see
Send
that
me
in
a-
season.
send me
You
an
have a new drag
application.
daughter.
Yeah,
Oh god, I can't have any more. I got too many.
yeah.
Instant blacklist. Instant blacklist.
Oh boy! All right, well that was an amazing revelation, TJ. I'm glad you brought that up because that was
Oh, boy,
very
yeah.
special. We would have never known that if we never had
I
this podcast.
appreciate that.
And now we know.
My whole
That's why
game
you
is
guys watch
alive.
podcasts.
TJ is now secretly gay.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, now we
Okay,
know another
okay,
guy.
He's an ally.
okay.
He's an
TJ is
ally.
a good
On.
All right.
podcast.
All right, anyway, so real quick before we recap this eviction, before we recap what went down at the eviction, we have one final conversation with it's Jake and Aiden, and they're wavering about who they want to vote out. Ray tried to get in the conversation, but Jake kicked him out. Didn't want to hear what he had to say. TJ and Ray are still campaigning their butts off, trying to stay safe in the game. But Aiden and Jake, you guys are talking about who you want to keep. Now, what was going through your mind during this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even expect to be taken off the block. My alliance was more so just to secure myself if I was still on. So, lo and behold, TJ's up there now with Ray. Like I said, I wanted to work further with TJ. Took a little page from Maxim's book and kicked Ray out of that conversation. And like I said, I wanted to work with TJ. And something I mentioned is that TJ has apparently become this big target. People don't like him. People don't like Aiden. I want to surround myself with people like that. So it's just not me. So yeah, I definitely campaigned for him. And obviously that doesn't go the way I want by the end of the week.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. When the vote came out to the way it did, it was 8-2. TJ goes home. Like, how did everyone feel in that moment when that happened?
Relieved.
Relieved. Yes, I do agree.
So Ivy Maxim relieved. Jake, what about you?
I'd say devastated, but that's a strong word. I will say absolutely bawling on the floor, crying.
Oh god.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Not to over exaggerate.
And
That would probably be my
TJ, what
reaction.
about you? One word to describe how you felt getting evicted from the show.
Oh man. Hold on. I need to
Indifferent.
find the word real quick. I
more
think
than
Because
one.
TJ,
I think-
you have a very big vocabulary, and I respect that so much. Because someone like me that's trying to expand my vocabulary, I could learn a thing or two from you.
I
hold
think
on
Maxim
one
can
minute. I gotta
also
say.
expand her vocabulary, as we saw. through
I
Ruby.
was
Oh.
I was despondent.
Despondent.
evicted.
Is that the word? Is that the word of the
Despondent.
day?
I was very-
Despondent.
Word of the
Despondent.
podcast.
I-
Word of the podcast.
I was definitely
Despondent.
upset. I was definitely down by being evicted. But
That's-
as far as like okay, so as far as like game decision is concerned, I figured like okay, it's a good and bad thing because some people just wouldn't like have felt safe with me in the house, but bad because no disrespect to Ray, but Ray is the type of person who like you take to the end knowing you can beat him, unfortunately, just by how low profile he was. And I would have figured that people would not have wanted to be evicted over Ray. I think I said something in the DR about this. Like Ray's just gonna go up again. So what difference does it make? Like what is he actually doing for other people's games other than just like taking a spot?
Yeah.
So that's why I felt like it was the wrong decision. But for it being week 2, I don't think like I can fault anybody for evicting me at that point.
Gotcha.
We love you, Ray. We love you.
Yeah.
I know your name now. Yay.
We know your
Yeah.
name.
Shout out to Ray. Shout out to Ray and his microphone and the
His
sickness
mic.
that he had.
His diseases.
Feel
Feel better.
Yeah.
Feel better, Ray. Hopefully you're not sick, and maybe if you return one day, hopefully you're not sick during that recording. Anyway, so TJ, as you were getting evicted from the show, you stated something as you were walking out the door that I didn't catch the
Oh,
first time
yeah.
when I was filming this. But you said something to Popoli about keeping a promise or something like that. You want to elaborate on what that is?
So Popoli was DMing me because during the vote casting, the rest of us are just in the living room chilling for the most part, just talking about nothing. So Popoli DMs me. I'm messaging him. I'm not sure if I'm going to be here or not. Popoli says, "Don't worry, pal. I think you got the votes to stay." And so I told Popoli that if I get evicted, that I was going to strangle his skinny bird neck on the way out of the door.
Wow.
And he didn't seem to, I think he was a bit worried, but just the cameras and just the legal ramifications, I decided to not do that.
You did have an opportunity to, TJ.
Yeah,
you met him face to face.
It's right. When I saw me and Popoli were both at the premiere party, and I should have just snuffed him out right there. He probably wouldn't have even remembered why he was getting choked out, but it's okay.
Yeah, maybe
I'll get him at
yeah.
I'll get him another time.
Yeah, maybe another time. Maybe in another alternate universe or multiverse out there. There is one universe where TJ did just that.
Absolutely. Okay, Marvel.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about the multiverse?
This is Big Brother Minecraft. You never know what's gonna happen in the next few seasons.
Yeah, what's a part of the canon? What's not a part of the canon?
Yeah, apparently 4.5 is part of the canon. Who knows? Maybe in another universe it's not.
Oh,
anyway,
God.
besides that, yeah, maybe Robster doesn't get first boot in 7. Anyway,
no, that's a canon event.
Shout out to Robert Palin and his dad's ribs.
The one that inside of him.
Anyway, so TJ, I wanted to just commend you for just your attitude in your post-eviction interview and even during this podcast, man. I mean, just like getting such a shitty hand dealt to you in the game of this, in this season, you just seem to have just an overall positive attitude about it, and you really have a good head on your shoulders about just the way you carry yourself, and that's something that I commend, and I hope that future house guests kind of learn from you in a sense, not to really take the loss so hard and just to move on and understand that you really couldn't do much about it.
I appreciate that. I think I was ultimately more disappointed at the idea of just not being able to be a part of the confessional experience and be able to continue and tell that story to the audience. But all in all, being early evicted, it's not too big of a deal. I've been a community player for damn near a decade at this point. And this game wasn't an indication of my skills as a player, because I know I can adapt pretty well, and I know that I have what's it called? I'm a good player at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think so. This game I didn't take it too hard.
There you go. Love it. So we cut to commercial. It's HOH time. It's a challenge that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I like these knockout challenges, especially after a crazy eviction, like TJ getting out, for instance. The house is already very tense, and when you throw in a challenge where people have to target each other, it definitely creates a dynamic in the house that it kind of gets people worried about who they're close with, and you kind of get to see the social totem pole. But ultimately, Jake, you come out victorious out of this challenge. So
yes, sir.
Without giving away too much, what's going through your mind in that moment? Do you have any sort of plan in your mind about what you want to do?
I mean, firstly, I think it's hilarious and euphoric that I go from this original nominee to now being the HOH.
Yeah.
My exact thoughts in the moment were just, have fun with it, have a little theatrical moment, and just really embrace it, because that's something I wanted to go in with this game. How often do you get to play Big Brother? So I wanted to make the most of my HOH, have the most fun I can, and that's all I'll say for now. I guess you have to keep watching.
Yeah, we'll have to see next week when the episode drops. We get to see who you nominate, and it's bound to be a really good one. Especially because I'm pretty sure episode 5 is when Hannah returns to host the challenge. So we'll see. Miss Hannah is going to return, host the challenge.
Okay. Don't sound too excited.
Yeah.
Did she play before? I don't recall.
No.
Yeah.
God, is that Hannah from season 6 and 7?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, is that Hannah from season 6 and 7 of Minecraft Big Brother?
Yeah.
No. This is Hannah from the escape room in Orlando.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. Call back.
That's so funny. Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. Maybe you guys maybe not know this. If I don't know, probably you don't, because I didn't include this in the vlog. Unfortunately, I didn't. But yeah, me, Hannah, and a bunch of other people on production, we flew down to Orlando earlier this year, and we met up with Jake. We met him in person. How crazy is that? We did an escape room with him, and
Oh wow.
he did it. He
Come
tested his
scared.
Big Brother skills in real life, and we were able to escape that thing. So yeah.
Andrew
Yeah, you-
forgot to vlog it, but there is a singular group photo of all of us. I want you to put it on the screen right now.
Oh, great.
Right
Yeah.
now, it's showing on the screen.
More
We look
editing.
all
You're
So
welcome.
stinking cute. Enjoy the
Yeah.
editing. But yeah, you think you
Put
was
a-
the
put a
first
big red
meetup
circle
from
around
If I
Jake's
wasn't doing
face,
enough
put some
editing
heart.
already, yeah, thanks. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So if you're watching on YouTube, you just saw it. If you're listening on Spotify, hopefully you're at least driving to work safe, driving home safe, on the subway, whatever you are. Hopefully you're.
No. While you're driving, pull up the YouTube app.
pull up
Jump to
YouTube.
this timestamp so you can see the photo.
Yeah. Anyway, before we wrap up this podcast here, because we've covered a lot, there's a lot here, lots to unpack here, lots of drama. Is there anything anybody wants to just talk about or dish out here while we're here?
Oh yeah, I want to do a little TJ appreciation post. Something that I agree with the viewers. Seeing TJ's game after the fact, that's the type of the confessionals he gave. That's the type of stuff I wanted to deliver. So TJ, I want to give you just a round of applause for
Yes.
that type of.
I'm clapping.
You
I'm
were
clapping.
delivering in the confessionals, and even though it was just 2 weeks, you made the most of it.
I don't even remember saying half the craziness that I did. So, I appreciate that. Even if there's actually a few older community players that I question that if they're gonna see this or not, and I don't know. I look forward to being able to watch this series as a fan now because I don't actually know what's gonna happen next after I go. So. I'm going to be just as blindsided as the rest of the audience. So the game's really starting now, in my opinion, and I look forward to it.
Awesome, TJ. Well, I'm glad we were able to celebrate your eviction in a very positive light here. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. I appreciate everybody here for tuning in to the On the Block podcast with yours truly, Andrew Yalo. Join us next week when we'll probably have Jake on again. Hopefully, if he's available, we'll talk about his HOH reign. We'll have a few other people from the season as well if we can.
All right.
But
I look at my calendar.
Yeah, appreciate y'all for tuning in. See you next week.